Welcome back, everybody. It's very cold, very windy, and very stormy, and our investigators have found themselves literally off the path. Their carriage has slid off the road, spilling luggage and passengers alike out into the snow. As the snow picks up, howl wolves in the distance. Our
Ow.
group, our group is piecing themselves back together again and assessing the situation. And right away, you hear a few feet off in the distance, Ilya kind of pick himself up, cursing in Russian, and he turns back to the group and he shouts, "How is everybody? Is everyone doing okay?" Vilma, who had been ejected from the carriage, kind of picks herself up and somewhat weakly but confidently, "I'll be okay, thank you. That wasn't great."
Oh, agreed. I'm a little bit banged up, but I've suffered worse before.
Tatiana, Miss Tatiana, how are you?
We heard a wolf howl in the distance, right? Tatiana's gonna flip out of the snow and go, "Oh, Volchok, do you hear me?" in Russian, and see if her dog comes running.
Don't attract
Let's
them
see.
close to us.
We didn't actually check the dog. The dog. Oh, actually, here's the thing. Okay, the dog would have been in the kennel, right? Or was the dog with you in the carriage?
I think she had the dog following us, not like actually in the kennel, but like running alongside.
Oh, okay. Then the dog is. The dog is.
Tired.
The dog is
Frozen
tired.
paws.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is I don't know to
Is it
what
a real
extent.
dog?
I don't know to what extent, right? The dog. Is this a guard dog or a hunting? Was this a pet dog or a
This
guard
was a
dog?
pet dog, yeah. But it spent the last 2 months going back and forth to town with Trish and
Yeah, I guess
exploring the
so.
woods.
All right, I'll give it to you. It's because the dog doesn't have resistance stats. So yes, the dog would have immediately been bounding through and dove into the pile of snow with you.
Yeah,
Done
and I'm
whatever
writing
it
this
is you would
down
have done.
because I have forgotten since we started. The dog's name is now Volchok, which
Got it.
is wolf pup in
Aw.
Russian, and he's a Swedish hound.
Nice.
So he needed a name because I've been tempted to call on him several times, and I just forgot what I named him and what kind of dog he was.
And let's see here. Ilya calls out, Mr. Skoglin, are you okay? I don't think I've heard you yet.
Yes.
Miss Trish, are you okay? I don't think I've heard you yet.
It's just Trish, and I'm fine. Do we got any lanterns or anything? It's kind of dark.
Yeah, at this point, I would like to take stock of what has become of all of our possessions,
Right.
the carriage
Same.
itself. I'm assuming we've got a debris field we're working with.
We have a debris field, and you have two complications. Complication number one, it's dark. Complication number two, it's cold, and it's going to take time. And the issue, of course, is as you are digging through things, you are getting colder. And so you start to take assessment of you just see that there is a bit of a debris field that you can just sort of make out with the moonlight. And Ilya sort of kind of collects himself a little bit and he says, We've got to make for the inn. I know where there's a place nearby. I think we can get to it, but we have to get there soon. It's very cold.
Are we able to see the stars?
To a certain extent, yes.
Are we able to tell exactly where we are based on?
Ilya seems
That
pretty
type of thing?
confident that he knows that there's an inn nearby.
Okay. I trust him because he knows this area.
Yeah.
So here's what we're looking at here. You've got to resist the cold. Even though you're wearing warmer clothes, it is fantastically cold. And so for the amount of time it takes to find an item, you're going to make a force test. It's a level 1 force test. The effect is a physical effect if you don't make your force test. So it's it's a bit of a gamble. How many items do you want to look for? And how long do you want to take looking for things? There are certain things that are on you, right? So
Yeah.
definitely like Edward's weapons are on him. I don't think they would have been packed up. But
First thing I
like
want
the lantern probably would have been packed.
Okay.
How about my cow fetus in a jar?
That's got to be packed, right? That's kind of big, don't you think?
Only the essentials.
You took that with us?
It's
my
Tatiana's
special
trinket.
thing.
It's
my
Tatiana's
trinket.
Right. That's right.
How small is a cow fetus? Would it fit in a bag?
How big is the bag?
I think it's got to be packed. It's got to be
And some
packed.
How big
point
is the
in
bag?
the development, it has to be small enough to fit in a jar.
Probably. You're right. It could be a very small.
I mean,
Zeitgeist.
they have big jars, though.
Yeah. I just imagine her carrying around a big ass fucking jar of the fucking cow fetus.
No, it's more like, oh, let me take this from my jar. Oh, that's a pretty pink. What the fuck?
I imagine this thing was like in a mayonnaise jar,
Yeah, like a pickle jar.
A one quart jar is kind of what I always imagine.
It's a fairly small jar.
A nice pickle
jar. But I feel like she carries a bag on her that would
I think any trinket is probably on you. I think everybody's trinket's probably on them.
That seems sensible.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like
I am too frail to risk searching for anything.
Nah, that's fair. Does Ilya have a lantern? Like, I would assume the coachman has a lantern out when he's doing his job.
That's a great question. Ilya, what do you have
okay.
on you?
If you are, I don't know anything about carts, but if you are riding in the dead of night and you have a lantern, the only light source is going to be that lantern, and your eyes are going to be adjusted to that lantern, and you're not going to be able to see the space around you. It's going to be too dark. So if you're riding at night, wouldn't you want the lantern to be off or behind the cart? You want the lantern to be behind the cart.
I've seen carts.
Light will bounce off of like trees and stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean I've only seen carts with lanterns on the front, and those carts are designed for in the city. So I don't know what I genuinely don't know what they would have done.
If you're in the wilderness, you wouldn't want it at the front because that would distract your eyes from being able to see what's in front of you.
Yep, I agree. There is some cart mounted lanterns. I'll just ask Chaos. I'll ask Chaos here. High, one of them survives. Low. Yeah, one of them survives. So you see
Perfect.
Ilya
Nice.
ripping off a lantern and producing a flint a striker kit from one of his pockets, and he gets this lantern lit. I was worried about this. I'm glad this worked. This ought to help. Oh, it's cold. We've got to get moving.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tatiana is going to look for something, so that's a force check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like which direction? And Edward will like check his compass and be like, "All right, which direction do you think we need, or should we be heading?"
And he points. I don't know what direction it is. He just points in the direction that he thinks he needs.
Okay, I will
That's
say
a
whatever
success.
direction that is.
Yes.
Mhm.
Trish also wanted to look for something, so after
Sure.
Tatiana.
Yeah. Oh, Tatiana, what did you find?
Tatiana brushes off her makeup kit.
Yep.
I mean, you gave me the cow fetus, so I'm not going to argue that she got both.
The most essentials. Oh darn! I had a failure.
Oh.
Okay, so
Okay.
all that means is you find what you're looking for. Okay, so
Okay.
all that means is you find what you're looking for. It's just that you're taking a physical condition.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm looking for a like a long branch that would be a good walking stick.
Okay, yeah, you do so.
I am going to give it to Ernst because he is injured.
There you go.
I'm gonna offer him like help, like if he needs help walking, but if he's like, I'm too proud, I'm gonna give him the walking stick.
Awesome.
Thank you. And he's kind of clutching at his side, but otherwise doing all right.
Okay, so Tatiana, are you looking for something else?
She finds her notebook and her pen, but I'm guessing maybe like the inkwell is broken or something, but she at least has her papers.
No, it's all probably in one like wooden kit, right?
Yeah.
It's probably intact. Here's the thing, though. The time that you're looking for your makeup kit is kind of like everybody else is getting things together. So basically what you're saying is, hey, everybody, wait for a second. I need to find something else. And if that's what we're doing, then I'm going to need a force test from everybody else as we're waiting for Tatiana to find the writing kit.
Then, no, she doesn't find it.
Well, how about this? Can I help Tatiana?
You can.
It's taking
Where?
everybody to do the
It will
force
still.
test for
It
the
will still
cold.
take. It will
Oh,
still
I
take
see.
the time. Yeah.
Okay, don't worry about it then.
Yeah. It's
Yep.
taking a
I'll tell
while
Tatiana-
to.
Don't worry, we'll get you some new stuff, okay?
We
They
can
probably
also
got something
come
at the
here.
end.
We can also come back here in the morning.
And
Take a
Ilya,
walk.
Ilya kind of says, "You better believe that. I need to get some stuff out of here. It's just too dark right now."
Yes, if you know where there's shelter, let's get there quickly.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's that far, but there's an inn nearby called the Tammsalu Inn. It's a part of a small community. They'll have the food and shelter, and it's an inn, so we'll have a place to stay. It's not too far from here. And he sort of gestures everybody to follow along. It's further down the road, and then there will be a turn off, and he'll take that turn off. And when he gets to the turn off, he's like, "Oh, good," almost as if he wasn't 100% sure if he had mentally clocked exactly where he was going to be. The time it takes, even though you're moving, the time it takes to get to the inn is going to call for one more force test from everybody as you are trudging through the snow.
Hey.
All right, so
Battered and exhausted.
Ernst is having a rough go of things. That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, too many physical tests, and this is going to end up in a death spiral for him.
It's
Jesus.
not a huge problem for you, Ernst, as you are getting colder and you're starting to have that conversation with yourself about, I don't know if it's a death spiral. I'm getting quite cold and starting to shiver a little bit. There is a light off in the distance as you're following Ilya down this side road, and he ultimately brings you to what he has called the Tammsalu Inn. Let's go ahead and give you a look at that. Pull up that map for you. Put that into the, there's that. So there's that. And let's see if we can put that into the chat box for our audience there.
This window's so small.
That's kind of, you can expand it with the
Yeah, I
arrow
got it.
in the upper right hand
It
corner.
started out real small and I was like, what the heck, man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There we go. So the road brings you directly towards the main building. But as you can see on the map, you would be able to kind of see as you're coming in, there's enough lights around that you can see that there's
lights in the
a
windows.
stable and a chapel, but there's nobody outside. It's quite dark and it's quite cold. And ultimately, Ilya comes up and tests the door, and the door is open. It's an inn, so chances are pretty good it was going to be in. And he takes you in, and you feel that instant relief of, oh, I'm not cold anymore, as you walk into the ground floor of the excuse me, of the Tammsalu Inn.
It is so good to feel heat.
Oh, it's so nice in here, warm.
Oh,
I'm gonna go stand by the
again.
fire.
There is a hearth. You walk into the ground floor of the inn. So let's get you the floor plan so that you can sort of check out what it is that you've kind of walked yourself into. Oh, you're not going to see wrong one. Sorry, everybody. Let's get you the right picture. There. That's the right one.
Fantastic.
So you're on the ground floor, and the ground floor has a dining hall, as well as obviously doors and things off to the other side. Just pretend that you don't know all the words on the map. I don't have an NPC map, and I didn't feel like making one, so whatever. The dining hall you see is very spacious and open, very open floor plan, if you will. Has a brick stove and a fireplace, a huge bear skin in front of the fireplace, lots of chairs, lots of tables that are set up around this dining hall. Even though it's very late at night, the room is warm. There is still some smell of food and ale, and there are some guests sitting at tables. There are two people who are kind of serving some of these late night guests, and one of them sees you all come in, and she walks over and she says, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know we had more guests tonight. Welcome to the Tammsalu Inn. I'm Imre. How can I help you? Are you okay?" And she starts to take note of like the condition of the party, and some of you are injured and clearly very cold. And she immediately shouts back, "Fruit, bring me some ale and some warm water, please. We'll get you set up." And she sort of, I think she probably recognizes Ernst as the one in need of the most help, and sort of takes you by the arm and says, "Let's get you by the fire."
Yeah, I stammer out some thanks and allow myself to be led over to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the blood is supposed to be warm, not cold like this.
Oh my goodness, what happened? Oh, Ilya, is that you? Oh my goodness, what happened, Ilya? And Ilya, sort of going over to the fireplace, he says, "The slid off the road. I think I missed a turn or something. Anyway, the stagecoach is a heap a couple of miles up the road, and I hope you've got some room because we're going to be here for a little bit." And Imre says, "Of course, we'll get you set up right away." And the other person who she called out, Kroot, comes back with some what looks like pints of ale and what looks like a plate of some various slices of meat and cheese, and then some other cups that are like warm water. And I think, well, actually, probably it would have been a teapot and some teacups. I think is probably what he would have shown up with some tea offerings as well.
Definitely
we
get a
could
big
have a hot toddy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll take one of those.
Tatiana will take one of the hot glasses of water.
Mm-hmm.
Edward will do the same to
busying
warm
myself preparing some tea.
Ilya sort of kind of looks at the group again a little bit. He says, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened."
It's understandable.
Me neither. All I know is we were in the snow and it was cold. Boy, we were lucky though that we crashed so close to this nice warm inn.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lesser coachman would have got us all killed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless we are dead.
And
I
he
would
kind
like
of
to think that being dead would be more comfortable than this.
Good
I think
point.
at the same time, Ernst, that you're saying that is also Ilya is like, this isn't heaven. So if we're dead, we didn't make it
That's like
there.
heaven. It's nice and toasty,
That's true.
surrounded by friends and food and booze.
I think the evidence suggests we are still alive. And
Emery kind of comes back on that and says, "Of course you're alive. You're very lucky. But Ilya absolutely. He knows his way around, and he got you here in one piece. You're gonna be fine. You just stay by the fire here and warm up."
thank you kindly.
So, as you're looking around the dining hall, and your attention is directed back again towards the fireplace, the mantle, you see on the mantelpiece is a color painted portrait. You see a middle-aged woman, fair-haired, green eyes. What really is striking about her, though, is that her hair is worn in incredibly elaborate braids, and the the it's the kind of, for those of you who have had braids in your hair or whatnot, it's the kind of thing that takes a tremendous amount of skill and an awful lot of time, and it's quite impressive. And for a moment, you look at this and your thoughts kind of linger on her, this one very pleasant portrait in what is a very just average run-of-the-mill dining hall here at the Tammsalu Inn.
How old does this portrait look to be?
Probably a couple years. It's very recent.
Okay.
How
Barely
well-
any tobacco stains.
Yeah, how well maintained is it if it's above the fireplace?
It's very clean. It's not besmirched with soot. It's beyond just, it hasn't had environment happen to it. It's very clean. It seems like someone's taking care of it.
Very good. Very good.
If we look around the room, do we recognize anybody who resembles this person?
Oh, excellent. So we look around the room, and you see a number of people who are at various different tables. You, of course, see Imre, who is one of the waiters bringing food and whatnot. There is a waitress who is also moving food around, and then you see, of course, Vilma has kind of taken up a spot at her own table. There is a pair of gentlemen who are at another table, and this pair of gentlemen have as you're looking at the portrait and looking around, seeing other people who might have a family resemblance, you're thinking about family resemblance. And when you see these two brothers, they are clearly family. They might be brothers, not sure, but they have their own family resemblance, not to the portrait, but to themselves. And then you also see another woman at her own table, a woman who is dressed in, I guess, dressed in more traditional, tradition. You know what? Tatiana is going to know this. She's dressed more in the traditional clothing of this region.
Folks.
Okay.
Folksy.
Mm-hmm.
The Ingria fashion?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a little bit of a blend of Russian and
Mm-hmm.
okay.
But does this woman look like this portrait, or is it just the brothers that resemble the portrait?
Nobody that you see in this space has a family resemblance to a woman in the portrait.
Not even the brothers that you mentioned?
No, the brothers actually look very touristy. They do
Oh,
not look
okay.
like they are from, like, they have a Western European vibe to them. They look like they've come a
Foreign.
long ways. Yeah.
Those darn Westerners.
Okay.
And when we're looking at the map, where are the two brothers in comparison to the women or the woman? Is anybody at one of the square long tables, or are they kind of spread at the circular tables?
Oh, I don't know. Let's make a decision. Where I think that they're all at their own spots. I don't, I look at the thing and they're, let's just say that they have achieved, uh, a balance of being close enough that they're not being antisocial and close to the fireplace, but far enough away that they're all kind of their own little spheres. They don't really, there's not a lot of socialization. It's fairly late in the evening and folks are looking like they're finishing up dinner and their own business before they may retire to their beds.
Okay. Who is
It's like
sitting
late evening.
Mm-hmm.
who is sitting closest to the fireplace?
You all.
Oh,
Ernst.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
that would be me. And Ernst is kind of starting to nod off. The day's exhaustions and wounds are getting to him, and the fire is very warm, and the tea has been very soothing, and he kind of
Tatiana starts like humming a melody under her breath as she sits next to Ernst, just kind of trying to
Aw.
set the mood and allow him to sleep easier over the sound of conversation in the kitchen or whatever is going on.
Is there
What are
any kind
you
of like
what are you humming,
sorry.
Tatiana? Sorry, Trish, we're gonna make a scene
You're
out of
fine.
this, I think.
Oh
Tatiana, what
God.
are you humming? Or you don't have to have like a name if this is just like
Yeah,
something traditional or something that your mother did for you or whatever.
yeah. Probably seeing the woman who looks familiar, probably a song she heard that was in this region. So something she heard when she was 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So some sort of traditional lullaby or soft song.
Mm-hmm. Between the tea and the fireplace, being in the shelter, having a song hummed, Ernst, you're in a very good place. But we have to figure out if we're going to benefit from this. And so I think, Tatiana, we're going to ask you to make an inspiration roll. This
Yay!
this is sort of the, hey, let's see if we're able to help calm Ernst and bring bring some comfort.
Hopefully. Let's see. Inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a lot of dice.
Hey, Ernst,
Nice.
how many?
Ooh.
That's
How many?
good.
Okay,
Woo.
so with 3 successes, you are able to recover 2 conditions.
all right.
That's both of them.
That brings me back to fine form. So Ernst is kind of sitting back in the chair, slumped a little bit, but having a very nice doze.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, now I think the rest of us are the ones that are a bit more worse for wear.
Well, this
gonna wake up
is-
tomorrow and go, I'm fine. What's wrong with the rest of you?
So, there are ways, of course, between either a scene of rest or a purchase of services or just spending some time with your trinket. There are a lot of instant ways to be able to alleviate some of our conditions. So if there's something that
There's
you're
some-
thinking about doing,
If there was some lovely herbal tea, Edvard would partake in that.
there was tea brought for everybody. So yes, unless
Sweet.
somebody
Yeah,
wanted
he's
to.
just letting it warm, thinking of home.
Mhm. The rest scene usually requires another NPC. So, not NPC, either a PC or an NPC. So, if we wanted to have a rest scene for some
Right.
other folks, you're more than welcome to set the stage and tell a little story. Of course, it can also wait for later.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh.
That's fair.
It's,
go ahead,
it's
Tatiana.
possible. It's possible that Tatiana might have given some herbs to Trij or someone if we wanted to share something for the herbal tea. I don't know. She would probably just give it to Edward directly, though. Oh. That's a stretch. Never mind.
Oh, I just
Fair.
didn't
Would
know.
this
Go ahead, ask your question.
fair? Like, is this like herbal tea or just like black tea?
Oh, hopefully it's herbal tea. I mean, if it's late, we're trying to go to sleep. We don't want caffeine.
Oh,
It's also herbal tea, just in the sense of probably what's available regionally or whatnot. Especially,
Yeah.
this is
Mm.
if you were at like Konstantin Konstantinovich's place, right? You could have your whole
Right.
wall of tea, but
No, I was just saying if this was like herbal tea or just normal tea.
yeah, it's an herbal tea, probably
Okay.
a variation of local things that they have that they can source themselves.
can I try sneaking something into his tea as a way to make him feel better?
I mean, you're more than welcome to describe how you're going to do it and what you're going to do it with, and then we can always have you roll a stealth roll and see. This is probably going to be opposed by Edvard's observation, not observation, vigilance. If you would like to walk us through it, Tatiana.
I am perfectly okay with this. This sounds great. Spike my tea.
Helping in the sketchiest way possible.
I was actually going to
Tatiana.
ask for some like herbs for muscle relaxing.
Okay. So
But I like this idea way better.
So I'm going to say that as we were walking, a common herbal tea in Ingria is made from linden flowers.
Sure.
So I'm going to say that just based on the geographic region, I believe Ingria encompasses. So I think that would be native to the area. And so while she's humming, she's just kind of using the end of her pen to like finely like chop these leaves. And Trish, what are you drinking?
Oh, tea.
So as she's humming and Trish or Edward kind of look away or look at something else, as she gets just, a pinch, she'll just kind of sprinkle it over their tea
Yeah.
and then
I'd
continue
say-
singing.
Yeah, Trish is probably over by the mantle, like the fireplace, and doing like calisthenics, just like stretching out, the cold and not even paying attention to what the fuck you're doing to our drinks.
Excellent. Good.
Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, that would actually be what, like making sure that A, Ernst isn't going to fall into the fireplace, but B,
Yeah.
also doing warm-ups and stuff to be like,
Yeah.
can't lock up my
We
joints.
just went for a hike in the cold, so we're probably a little stiff.
It sounds like Edward and Trish gave you some openings there, Tatiana. I don't think there's
quite a bit.
I mean, I don't necessarily know if there's a reason why you wouldn't have been able to have done it.
The question is, did they leave their tea at the table, or do I need to hum and walk over to the mantle place to sprinkle it in?
No, my tea's over by the table. It's too hot. You gotta let
Okay.
it cool just a little bit. You don't want to burn your tongue.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then
it's over by the table.
I'm just going to sprinkle some crushed up linden flowers into all three of their drinks.
You have to make me look up what
Like
a
a good
linden
friend.
flower does.
I
What
just looked up common Russian teas and linden flower was
Yeah,
listed.
it probably doesn't do anything
Uh-huh.
nefarious.
Yeah.
Mild
Okay.
hallucinatory.
I don't even know what a linden flower is.
Yeah.
Looking it up right now.
Oh, it's actually it looks like Tatiana's doing you a favor. Okay. Yeah, relieve high blood pressure, calm anxiety, and soothe digestion. All right. Okay.
Sounds lovely.
All right.
Excellent.
Of course, all of those claims can't be certified by the FDA or the
Of course not.
USDA or the AARP or the
Get all of those
ASPCA.
disclaimers out there.
Excellent.
With the New Brunswick Parent-Teacher Association.
So Edward and Trish, what do military calisthenics and dance warm-up routines look like as you're both working on shaking off the cold?
I mean, I'd like to think that it starts out pretty casual. You know, we're just like stretching, and then it slowly becomes a weird competition about who's more limber.
Yeah, actually, that's what it is. Like just the basic stretches at first, and then it's like, all right, well, we haven't done this before.
Yeah, right. Like Trish is like bending backwards and doing some stupid circus shit.
Who
And
initiated?
Edward tries.
Right.
Yeah.
He tries.
Right. I love it.
Bend backwards, start walking on my hands. Like,
Like,
yeah, you really got to stretch like this. It really gets the hamstrings going.
Okay.
Maybe I try to show you, and I'm like trying to lift your leg over your head.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
And I could get like halfway.
Yeah.
Like halfway there. Like I'm limber enough to at
Taking your
least
neck.
kind of get in the position, but it's comical.
Yeah.
But he's having a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Teaching you weird yoga poses.
Oh, you know what? No inspiration necessary. You get your two. You get two. Each of you get 2 conditions cleared.
Yeah,
Each
I've
of
only
you
had
get
one.
2 conditions. Well, I mean, if you only had 1 condition, you're cleared. I mean, these
Oh.
scenes
God.
can't undo being broken, but they, Yes, Tatiana. What horrible mistake has Tatiana made?
Oh God. That's the noise
I
she
will
makes when she
gleefully
actually
drink this
dumps her
tea.
whole. She dumps her whole bag in like our cups.
Linden has a very strong scent, so I think when you guys drink it, there is a possibility you would catch on.
Well, okay, so here's the question, right? Have Trish and Edward had their tea yet?
I was just about to ask, how common is this herb in this region? Like, I mean, you said it's from Russia?
It's regional, and it's got a, just a quick cursory glance through the Google machine. It's got a pretty long tradition of being used. But the real question is, if you didn't have any beforehand and you went stretching and now you come back to your tea, I mean, would anybody notice the difference? Like, this is just my tea, right?
So let me see if I can put this in a period appropriate way.
Uh-oh.
This has a common scent to what gentlemen might smell like when they're partaking in recreation on their own or with lady folk.
Musky.
Wow, what a statement.
Ah,
Kind of loaded there.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
completely forgot about that. I just Googled it and then I was like, oh wait,
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, maybe like Trish picks it up as like, this tea smells kind of musky. Shoots it.
I mean,
Edward
after
just assumes it's herbal tea.
Yeah, sure.
He's like,
absolutely.
I thought I remember this smelling a little different, but
Yeah.
Yeah. As you drink your tea and you're feeling a little better and you've worked the cold out, a door to the area opens and a gentleman walks through. Gentleman you haven't seen before, and strides towards your group with some purpose. And your earlier thoughts about looking through a space for somebody who had a family resemblance finally hatches, and you see a man approaching you. And let's go ahead and give you I don't know. The pictures, I don't know, maybe the pictures, maybe he's got a family resemblance. I don't know. The images, let's pretend he does. All right. So this gentleman walks up to you and he introduces himself. And he says, "Oh, these are the guests Zimmer has told me about. I'm Axel. I'm Axel Trigg. I'm the owner, the manager of the inn. Welcome. I understand you had a bit of a rough go of things."
Nothing a good cup of tea can't fix.
That's what we always say here. Well, I've been in the process of securing some lodging for you upstairs. I'm assuming you're going to be with us for some time. I've looked outside, and the weather is outrageous. There's a storm outside. It's just blanketing the area in snow. I haven't seen anything like this in a long time.
Yeah, and I came on so suddenly.
Sometimes it does. This is definitely, though, definitely sudden. I would agree. Not completely unheard of, but definitely something that we're not, definitely not something that we're accustomed to. Axel's tall with broad shoulders. As he talks, he's smiling a lot. He's kind of a owner of an establishment that relies on good customer service, and so he smiles a lot. And but he does have some of the same, coloration, hair, skin, eyes that you see in the portrait um, on the mantle.
Yeah, I'll be sipping the tea and I'll be like, "Is that a relation of yours?"
And I'm assuming you're like pointing to
Yeah, the
your
portrait.
Yeah. And he says, as he looks up there, you can see to a certain extent that his demeanor changes just a little bit. And he says, we got to get to the, I want to get his story right. He looks up there and he says, "Ah, yes, that is indeed my sister. Her name was Esther, and she
Esther.
worked here at the inn with me. We took the inn over from our parents. She was a valuable friend and valuable family member, and we miss her presence. We lost her a year ago."
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear.
Sorry to hear about
These things happen. The doctor said it was a stroke, and these things happen. But enough of sad things. Let me get you. Let me at least tell you where you will be. And he has some keys, and there are 4 of you. And he has set aside guest rooms 1 and 2 upstairs, and he says that they're both rooms with up 2 beds in them. And he hands 1 key to Edward, seeing that Ernst is probably,
that.
if you're awake, I don't know if you're showing it, or if you're asleep.
I'm still very much head down, possibly a little bit of spittle forming at the corner of my mouth.
Should we leave him here or should we carry him, you guys? He looks so peaceful.
He does, but we
But
do not want to.
he'll wake up with a huge kink in the neck though if we leave him.
Yeah, we do not want to create a hassle for our hosts.
And also, and she has the other key. I imagine she hands out. I don't know. Tatiana and Trish have both leapt for things in the past. So as he hands out the key, I imagine Trish is up and about. So I imagine he hands the key for your room, guest room 1 to Trish.
Okay.
Tatiana is pouting, and she's like, "Please, couldn't we have a story first?"
I could tell a story. Or do you want
No.
him to tell a story?
I want him
It's
to
fine.
tell a story.
It's fine, whatever.
It's
Cool.
Axel says, "Oh, you have unfortunately missed that hour. We typically have a time to share stories after dinner. We had some
Aw.
lovely stories tonight, but I don't think any, as he looks around, especially gesturing towards the outside, I don't think anybody's going to be leaving us tomorrow. So after dinner, we would love to have some new stories and storytellers. If we tell some stories, we're going to expect you to tell some as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh. I just wanted to know what stories there were about sudden snow events like this one. Because you know how we all tell stories to make sense of the universe.
Well,
Perhaps you can tell one of those stories tomorrow.
I think that would be a lovely idea. Tonight's stories, I think everybody kind of agreed that there was a desire for a little escapism. I think the stories all dealt about being in warmer places, but we can definitely play around with the idea of a good winter's tale tomorrow night. It's a great idea. But remember now, don't cheap out on us. You have to come up with some stories too.
Oh,
I've got them ready to go.
we shall.
Should I help? And he gestures towards Ernst. Should I help him up the stairs? Does he need?
Oh, that would be awesome.
No, I can take care of that. And if Ernst is actually asleep, Edward will be like, "Scoop."
Oh, Like a baby.
When you go to lift Ernst, he kind of shakes with a start and goes, my apologies. I believe I nodded off a little bit.
They have our accommodations.
Oh, lovely. Oh, the tea and the room, and I swear there was a song as well. All quite soothing. Quite
Yes.
soothing.
That's especially after our trip.
I can carry your luggage up for you if you desire.
I've got it. I'll take the luggage since Edward
There
is
isn't
carrying
much
Ernst.
of it.
I don't
I'm
think he's letting
afraid
me
that
carry him.
my
That's right.
luggage
There is
We
not much
have-
luggage. The luggage is still scattered at the stagecoach out in
Yeah.
the storm. That's
I'm
right.
helping.
That's right.
It's like one thing.
Tatiana, I have to remind myself to ask every once in a while, where's your four-legged friend?
I imagine she was probably sleeping by the fire,
Sure.
possibly lending her warmth to Ernst while he rested. So like sitting on the non-fire side of him to keep him warm, and then follows up.
Hey, Tatiana, how does your dog feel about cats?
He wants to be great friends with them. She wants to be great friends with them and doesn't understand why they never want to play with her.
Got it. Good. I'm asking for no particular reason. So Axel is willing to show you up the stairs. If there's anything else that you wanted to achieve, we can try to make it happen. Or if we want to make our way upstairs and take a nap and try to sleep off what's been an exciting day of travel.
Yeah, Ernst, having nodded off once already, is ready for bed.
So
Don't
unless
know
there's
what
anything else,
shenanigans.
if there's anything else anybody wants to do, we can make that happen, or we can kind of have that moment of everybody goes to their rooms, kind of get settled in.
Want to have a moment with Trish. So like we're laying down and we're settled and the lights are off.
Mm-hmm.
And Tatiana's gonna ask Trish, which story should I tell tomorrow? The one about the mage, the wolf, or the elf?
The wolf. Definitely. It's fitting, right? We heard wolves out there.
Well, and Winter's Tale. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. Nothing like a spooky ghost Christmas story.
Excellent. Thank you.
And in the other room, Edvard and Ernst, you make your way in.
These accommodations should be most excellent for resting and
Great.
recuperating. Thank you for waking me there, Edward.
Yeah, of course. Of course, Ernst. If you have any, I know tomorrow they are expecting stories, so if there's any that you can think of.
I shall
Although I'm
have to
sure,
look for one of my favorites.
yeah, although I'm sure Trish and Tatiana will have more than enough to keep them entertained.
Between the two of them, you are likely right, but
Yeah,
there should be something good that I can pull from the folklore.
same. Well,
Something to bring a little bit of our home over here. I'll have to sit and
Great.
ponder. So as I
Excellent.
lay down, I am contemplating my back catalog of folk tales and thinking of something that will be nice and representative of home.
Nice. So the after a long day with a struggle and making your way to the inn, sleep comes easy for you. You didn't realize maybe to a certain extent how exhausted you were. The morning comes a little early. There's no wake up call, but most of you kind of come out of your sleep at about the same time because most of you probably have the same tolerance for intense cold that people normally do. You wake up and your room is freezing. It is cold. It was warm in your rooms the night before. And this morning when you wake up because you got cold, unbearably cold.
Is there anything heating the rooms like the
Yeah,
night
I was
before?
about to ask the same thing.
So the rooms, the building, I'm going to presume, based on the location of the various different fireplaces and hearths and stuff, these rooms get their heat from the dining hall below being heated and that heat raising up. This building is not like here's you came in and at the night, so you didn't have a really good look at it. But if you were to go out in the morning, you would see that this building is a kind of a stilt house. It's built higher up. It is let's see here. Which page is it? I've lost the description of the building. That's okay. So it's not it's a building that has it's a large steel building. It's got a thatched roof. So like it's a building that's not a modern building, really, per se. It is a building that needs some updating, if you will. But it is bitterly cold.
Ooh.
Yeah, wake up, start.
I think Tatiana wakes up not because she's cold, but because her dog gets cold and starts crawling under the covers to get closer to her.
Yeah,
Right.
wanting to cuddle.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
As
I add
you
layers on and attempt to regain warmth.
as you're getting out of your beds and you're getting dressed before like layers of clothing can start to like keep your body heat, you all start really you feel as cold as you did yesterday after the carriage ride. So as you're getting started in the morning, as you're getting out of bed and getting dressed, I need everybody to make a force test, please.
Oh,
Of course.
This is just going to be such a bad mystery for Ernst.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Oh,
Hey, Ernst, you're okay.
Poor Ernst. He's too old for this shit.
It's okay. Tatiana can keep drugging you guys. It's fine.
Yeah. Drew's just gonna do the calisthenics again, gotta get the blood pumping, that's all. I've dealt with plenty of cold mornings.
Yeah, Edward would be doing the same. Like, gotta keep the core body temperature up.
Get moving,
fails.
get dressed.
Right.
Too
So
stiff.
that's going to be a
Physical condition.
let me just double check to make certain it is indeed a you may choose. It's a physical or a mental condition.
Mental, because you have to wake up earlier than you intended.
So now, of course, we can always push, but that'll be another condition. So I don't know if pushing it
Yeah,
makes
it's like trading one condition for another.
Yeah, I
right?
don't think if pushing it's going to make a lot of sense. So
Tatiana is scared, so she is frightened by the story she's going to tell.
mm-hmm.
You scared your sits. It's so good. I scare myself.
She's going to tell a story, but telling Trish stories inside a sacred church is different than telling them here, far closer to people who don't want these stories told.
Got it.
But she's
Edward
going
is
to do
angry.
Yeah, it's just I think he had a little bit of a nightmare of a particularly cold winter campaign.
Got it.
And that's what woke him up.
Nice. Nice. As your party makes their way out of their rooms and downstairs, Axel is just frantically trying to get the fire started. The primary fireplace hearth has gone out. It is cold. And he's just trying to get it started, and that fire is just not lighting off, and he's cursing under his breath as he's frantically trying to get it back up and running.
I will go over there to assist in lighting the fire. I'll first just take a look and make sure whatever he's trying to light is proper tinder. If it's not of suitable, like if it's too dry or too wet, sorry, too dry is actually a good thing.
Fantastic. So
if it needs to be broken up into smaller pieces, or like a starter log made where you just shave down to make little shaves so that it catches a little easier.
Yeah. No, he's not hiding anything. He's frantically trying to get this thing started. And as you look at it, everything seems proper for starting this kind of a fireplace. He has wood. It's dry. It's seasoned. He's got he's got a kindling and such. And the problem is like the what he's using for his initial fire, like it lights up, but then the rest of the wood, it's almost as if like the wood isn't catching at all. Like and the small twigs, that smaller amount of kindling that you would use, you're like, this should catch. This is slightly weird.
Yeah, Edward will actually, since he's probably been experienced out in the wild, he probably has something like this to just start basic fires. Included like a little container that like you would put the material on. He's like, may I borrow like a small piece of wood? I want to see something. And he'll just shave it down like a knife or his saber if he doesn't have a knife available. And he'll try to light it. Like, and not on the thing, but like
Axel,
in the tin.
Yeah, Axel turns to you and says, I don't know what's going on. It's just I just don't understand how this is. Oh, this is so frustrating and maddening. And anything that you can do to help me get this going. It's just so cold in here. We've got to get it warm before we all freeze in here. You're at the point where you can see each other's breaths and the like.
Yeah. Are there any other guests? Are people like other than
people
us
starting to stumble down and come into the space as well? Yes, the people who you saw last night are are coming downstairs, you kind of grumbling about how cold it is, and seeing
Yeah.
Axel and now Edvard at the hearth trying to get it going.
Yeah. Edward will shout to people or like speak up to people and be like, so we get this fire started, huddle closer to each other so that you can share some body heat.
Yeah, like, are we able to produce body heat? Like, are we able to rub our hands together and like
Yeah.
create friction?
I mean, yes, you can. Yes, you can. As you've got your clothes on, you are feeling better. You are definitely not, you're not freezing anymore. So you feel warmth. What you don't feel is that kind of cold that some of you may have felt in the presence of your ghost friend a little while ago. So you don't feel like that's the thing. It just feels like the fire went out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would like to take a look at the fireplace. Particularly, I want to see if I can clue my sixth sense in and see if there is something beyond natural happening here.
Sure. Let's do this then. So that's your investigation, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So, first of all, before I forget, so Edvard, you're working with Axel to try to get this going. I'm
Yeah, and
going
I
to
just
probably say
put a bunch of shavings in like a little tin and
sure.
using like a striker to
Yeah.
try to do it away from there just in case
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
fireplace is causing
I
problems.
think either investigation or learning would be appropriate for you to help Axel get this thing started. In the meanwhile, while you're working on that, Ernst, you're going over and investigating. The hearth. So
Yeah, I'm looking at the hearth and
you're looking at
fireplace
hearth. What
itself.
is it that you're looking for? What's happening in Ernst's mind?
So this seems strange. It looks like all of the things that Axel has been doing should actually get a fire to catch. So I'm looking at it and trying to think of, spirits or things that I have heard of that might steal the heat or stop a fire from starting. And I'm kind of looking around to see, all right, is it the wood that's a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the fireplace itself?
Mm-hmm.
What's the issue there? That's my goal right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Sounds great. Is that our investigation?
Let me go ahead and roll that here.
Oof.
Oh, just the one success.
Just one
okay,
success.
I am going to push this.
Yes. Let's go, Ernst.
So let's see. I'm going to become angry at this. I'm going, I should know what is going on here.
Yeah, let's do it. Wow. Wow, that's a total of 3 successes.
There we go.
Okay, so, all right. You are looking around the fireplace. You're trying to understand, like, what's going on. Like, you don't see any kind of, like, there's nothing structural. Okay, maybe there's a hole, there's a draft somewhere. Maybe something is messing with it. Nope, nothing there. Maybe there's a blockage. You look up the flue. Maybe something has built a nest inside. Nope, nothing there. And the looking around your it's tough for me to describe, but your sixth sense, because you had your multiple successes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your sixth sense is registering the absence of something. There should be something here that's normally not a part of a fireplace, but now it's gone. There's a residual ping, if you will, of something. I don't know what the word is going to be, but like when you held Sandeman's journal, the feeling that you had was there. it's almost as if now, if you were thinking about Sandeman's journal, all you would have is the residual leftover feeling of it in your hand. So the journal is gone. There's something that's no longer here that ought to be. And that's what you're coming to grips with as you are reaching out and using your that lifelong investigation into Vaesen. There's something that's supposed to be here that isn't. And you think about stories that you remember, stories about the hearth, and you kind of stand back up. This is what you get for 3 successes. You stand back up and you look at the portrait of Esther. Oh, those braids. Those braids are not you're like, I got it. The braiding triggers in your mind this idea that those aren't the work of human hands. That you've had stories of Vaesen who have done that kind of braiding in like horses' manes and horse tails and the like. And you start to think about the very common house spirits. They go by a lot of different names. But the name that you know is Anissa.
Anissa.
And you know that Nissa are house spirits. And you know that they tend to take care of a home and they tend to take care of a family. Man, I haven't given you enough for that 3rd success.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What can I give you for that?
I mean,
success?
this is some good.
Yeah.
This is some good stuff right here already.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And there are some things that you already automatically know about Anissa. So I'll give you, so this will be for your 3rd success. You got to take care of them. You got to show them a little gratitude. Nissa need a little something, something on the little stone out in front of the fire, the hearthstone. A little bowl of porridge. Each Nissa is very particular about their porridge. Some like a little pat of butter, some like a little bread and milk, right? Each Nissa's got their own little, and if you get that wrong, they can get grumpy on you. Nissa typically look like grumpy little elf people. They always have the long hats, mostly red. But Nissa are typically male presenting. There are some stories with some female Nissa. But they always have beards and they go by other names, right? Some are called gnomes. There are yep. Some are, here's your 3rd success. Some are housebound. Some are farm bound, like they live in barns and such. But there is also the rare variety that is attached to a ship and a ship captain and crew. And they are like the river Nissa. But they all serve the similar purpose. They help take care of the place.
So did also while we're
your
waiting on
success,
that.
you have now managed to get the fire started. It was challenging, but your success, you were able to help Axel. The fire starts to snap and pop and crackle, and warmth starts to emanate from the fireplace. It'll take some time to get it rolling, but Axel looks to you, Edvard, and says, "Oh, thank the maker. And that look of worry kind of evaporates, and his smiling face comes back, and he says, "I was worried about what we were gonna do. It's still too dangerous to travel out there. The storm hasn't let up, and the fire going. Like, this is the one thing that's keeping us from turning into little popsicles, if you know what I mean."
Exactly.
Well, I've got to go see if we can get some more fire started in the kitchen so we can get some breakfast going, get everybody some warm food. And you can see some of the stress release from the other people who have come down into the main hall of the inn.
I was kind of suspecting it had something to do with the house spirits, but I don't want to steal Ernst's thunder. But could I? Because I was gonna like nudge. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna nudge Tatiana. I'm gonna be like, I think there's something wrong with the Tante.
Tatiana is shivering just as hard as she was when you guys woke up and just kind of clutching her dog and not really responsive. She's a little catatonic, so you're gonna have to probably nudge her a couple more times.
Yeah. You okay? You alive in there? In that shell of a human?
The wolves, it's fine. We're speaking Russian, it's fine. Yes, it's fine. I have a story.
Oh goodness. I'm gonna like rub her shoulders. You're gonna be all right, honey. We're gonna get you some tea.
Yeah, I think Trish has seen Tatiana like this when she said a name out loud that she's not supposed to in a story, and it's just like, oh no, the gods are gonna come down and kill me now. I've said something I can't say. What am I doing? So she's extremely scared. So
Oh no.
just a little jumpy this morning.
Mm-hmm. As you are, warming up Tatiana, a woman comes out. Woman you haven't seen before. Older woman, brown hair, gray streaks under a bonnet. She's coming out with a couple of I don't know, crafts of metal, crafts of probably presumably water. And she's like, well, we haven't gotten the kitchen started yet. I've got to get something warm for everybody. And she puts down these 2 pitchers, if you will, probably of water out in front of the fire, hoping to get them warmed up. And she kind of hurries back through and says, don't worry, everybody. We'll get breakfast going soon. Just hang in there a little bit. And she disappears back off into the kitchen.
Does the fire look like it's dying
Nope.
quicker than it
Nope.
should?
The fire looks like it's picking up, but slower than it should.
I guess I'll go up to Ernst and whatever he's doing, I'll be like,
Right.
what do you think it is?
They looks like they've neglected them. No, sorry.
No, you're right.
The
It's the Tante, right? It's what we have back in our hearth at home.
no, they're called the word Nissa.
Yes, Ernst. They are also called Tante.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tante Nissa.
The Nissa.
Yes.
The cousins
yes.
of the Tante.
It's been a while since I've heard them called by that name, but yes. I am starting to have my suspicions. I believe, and I kind of gesture up to the portrait, and she was the one in the household who took care of the Nissa, the Tante. And I think since she has gone, the caretaking has been left to the wayside, and they've either left or, well, decided not to give their services.
Neglect every time. Tragic. Well, I mean, to remedy this, we could try to convince them to start leaving out milk or cream.
Racking my brain. Porridge. Porridge is what they most commonly want. When we get a moment, we can ask Axel if his late sister had any peculiar habits, superstitions, things of that nature, and it might convince him to carry those on in her memory and see if that helps us at all. I for one, would rather keep the household spirits appeased.
Oh yeah, it's too cold for this stuff.
No, indeed.
No time to mess around.
I do not have the constitution for a Russian winter.
How loud are you? How loud are you saying these things?
Oh, I'm whispering this.
Oh, you're whispering.
Hush, hush. Yeah, I'm
Hush,
whispering. We're
hush,
having a.
hush.
Hush tones.
Yeah.
Ernst,
Uh,
when he's in the throes there, gets a little bit
Yeah.
excitable and loses some control of his volume. So
yeah. Well, I hate
oh
to
dear.
break it to you, but a couple of foreign-looking young individuals sort of kind of take a look over at you, and they kind of say some things to each other, and then they start to walk over. They don't look like they don't look angry or offensive or everything. In fact, they're starting to put on the face of, we're about ready to go say hi to some strangers.
It's his brothers.
It is the brothers. Yeah.
It is the brothers.
Okay.
Okay.
And the first brother kind of steps up and he says, in his best broken Russian, he says, good morning. I am Daniel Campbell. I am, as you can tell, not from around here. You're having a hard time because he's speaking in Russian, having a hard time trying to figure out like what his actual accent would tell you where he's from.
Mhm.
And then he says, this is my brother Samuel. And
Oh my god. I can guess what the picture looks like.
And
God, I knew it. When I saw Daniel, I was like,
yeah.
crap,
So
this is Sam and Dean Winchester.
Yeah. So everybody. So I'm showing everybody.
Yeah.
I'm showing everybody in the stream now. That's Daniel. That's Daniel in the. Okay, now I'm going to show the audience Sam.
Oh my
And there's
god.
Sam.
I'm sorry, audience. I should have waited.
I can't believe that's happening.
Oh, these guys have got a
All right.
great sense of humor over at Free League. You got it. I love it. I love it.
It's
So
beautiful.
these are official characters. That's so fucking good.
Yeah. So
I'm sure
Dean
the
and
actors would
Dean and
actually
Sam.
like it too.
Tatiana just needed to wait a little bit before romancing an NPC, apparently. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
So,
they called to
So Daniel
Mhm.
goes on. He goes on to say, I apologize. I know it's rude to listen in on other conversations, but in our business, and he gestures to Sam, his brother, we make it a habit of being very attentive. We were hearing you discussing that what might be happening here involves a spirit of such, or a spirit that's not here, needs to be taken care of. And we were very interested to, if you don't mind, join in that conversation. You see, my brother and I here are a bit educated in the world of monsters and ghosts and the like, and we're sort of investigators, if you will. And as Daniel's talking to you, you can clearly see that he wears on him, especially Edward, you've seen this before. He wears the scars of numerous battles, and Daniel's body, even though he's wearing a lot of clothing to keep him warm, Daniel's body is the body of a soldier. He is very like physically fit. It's just by the way he carries himself, his proportions and whatnot. He is clearly a capable combatant. And he says, we'd be happy to sit down and talk a little and share about what we know. We agree. I think you're on the right track. Something strange is happening here.
It appears to be that way. And Ernst is a little bit more standoffish than he usually is with new people. A little bit unsure about these two,
Mhm.
and not doing a great job of hiding that.
Yeah, especially because I'm assuming that we were talking in Swedish, and then they started talking in Russian.
Oh, were you
Was,
talking in
yeah.
Swedish?
Well, yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know.
if
No.
we're talking amongst each
Sorry,
other.
you were. Good news, everybody. They also speak Swedish.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But is it broken
and
Swedish?
Actually, their Swedish is better than their Russian.
Wow.
Okay.
And
Makes
because their Swedish is better than their Russian, you can pick up that they learned Swedish probably in England because of the things that they have learned to say, but their accent doesn't sound like somebody from England speaking Swedish.
Are they Americans?
You know what? They do kind of ping a bit of a Yankee
Drew's just
feel
gonna
to
bring that
them
up.
now.
They're gonna be like, "Oh, your accent. I'm not sure. Where's it from? It's not too familiar to me."
And he says, well, we're officially from Winchester, England. It's where we have lived most of our lives. We were both educated at Cambridge. But yeah, we actually were born and started our lives across the ocean in America. We grew up in New York State. But
Oh wow, so far.
yes. But our early lives
So
brought us
exotic.
to yes. Our early lives, however, we had to make our way to England. It was the only place to get the proper education for what we're doing. Well, it was the closest place for us to get a proper education for doing what we do today.
And forgive me, I'm used to people overhearing conversations like this and dismissing it as fantasy or folk tales and things. How did you come to experience, I guess, the world beyond the natural?
And he looks
The
at
supernatural, if you will.
the supernatural.
I can't.
I don't
I
so
can't.
absurd.
I was trying to
Um,
actively avoid the
I
word,
know.
and
I
you
know you were. I know you were, but Trish
God,
is
I want
not
to watch
subtle.
it so bad now. Also, because yeah, this was sold to me as
mhm.
Eastern European supernatural, and there they are.
From the past, or are they?
I mean, they time traveled. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
they do
It
time
got
travel a few
weird.
times. Now I'm beginning to wonder about this Constantine fellow.
So
Yeah, maybe it's John Constantine. Maybe it's Keanu Reeves.
yeah, Constantine instead.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back on track. Sorry.
I
All right,
mean,
sorry.
no, let's have fun with that. So Daniel leans over and he says, Samuel and I, our mothers died. Our mother died very early.
Oh,
Our
okay.
mother died very early. And father his job took him not only all over the East Coast of America, but took him to England, and his opportunities there were better than the East Coast, and he took us across, and we had dreamed that perhaps we would get a proper education. And when we told we were going to Cambridge, we said, this is fantastic. And then it turned out that we were merely being trained into the family business. Our father had traveled so much because our father had been in the business of investigating and tracking and learning about and fighting monsters. And
Tatiana has been quiet most of this time, and she's just going to mutter under her breath as he's making that list and murdering.
And we were brought into the family business, and since our childhood, we've been learning about and studying and tracking down and hunting all sorts of things, ghosts and monsters and all sorts of things. Mostly the ghosts and the undead walking and such, which is why we were interested in talking to you. We ourselves were going somewhere else, and when the storm forced us to seek shelter here at the inn, we were fortunate enough to be able to get here before the weather got too terribly bad. But
Sounds familiar.
I suppose, were you also on a coach
We were,
ride out to a event?
and perhaps meeting a certain count.
Sounds
Very
like a
repetitive name. Ring a bell?
sounds like we are missing out on our little conclave, doesn't it?
Well,
Plenty of
looks like
action
we might
here.
be having a sub-conclave here.
Well,
Funny how that works.
funny indeed how that works. I don't know. They were probably going to be boring anyway at a nice count's manor and all of the good food and wine and comfortable beds. It was probably been boring. This is much better, right?
I mean, it
Well,
was good until this morning, I thought.
Yeah, it was. That's the thing that I was going to get to, is that there's something happening here, and we've been here now for, the better part of a day, and that isn't the first thing that's been weird going on here. And he gestures over. Samuel, eh, tell them what you saw. And Samuel, when he sits down, um, he produces out from underneath his jacket 2 books. Boom. And as Daniel is talking, Samuel just opens up one of the books and he starts reading. Right? He just seems to be more interested in reading in a book than actually like participating in the conversation. But when Daniel says, Samuel, tell him what you saw, he, without breaking a beat, without missing a step, as he's reading, he says, one of the first things that we came across when we came here was a gray shape moving about the ground floor, and wherever it went, it seemed to bring discomfort and cold, and I believe that one of the pans in the kitchen fell and nearly gave the young waitress, I believe her name is Crute, nearly gave her a quite a substantial knock on her head. She managed to avoid this pot coming down from off of a hook. There are strange things going on here indeed, and just from my own experience, I have the sense that we are looking at something sinister and potentially undead. I suspect something along those lines.
Pots and pans are the common realm of poltergeists. Surely you'd know that.
They're the common realm of anything that would like to take an opportunity to drop something heavy and metallic on somebody. The gray shape is really more along the lines of, I suspected that that's not a coincidence, but that I had a chance to see the actor.
Well, Tate
What
are
was
usually very small, so
gray shape. Yeah. What size? How did it behave?
Unfortunately,
details do you
I
have?
didn't get a very good look at it. I would say it's about the size of, any points towards, Tatiana, help me with your dog's name again here.
I think it's Volkir. Hold
Yep.
on.
So he points down to Volkir and he says, I believe it's that size or somewhat larger. But it could have actually been much larger That was all that I managed to see as it slipped out of sight. But you can be sure I will be continuing to look for this, whatever it was. I suggest you do too. I think the more eyes we have looking for this thing, the better opportunity we'll have to be able to identify it and confront it and stop it.
Well,
without
sorry. Well, if the issue is with the Tante vacating the house, usually sometimes harmful spirits will move in.
That would be fantastic to be able to ascertain and to nail down. I think that would be a fantastic piece of knowledge for us to learn if that were indeed the case. Daniel, after looking at Samuel talking about all this, turns back to you and he says, I agree with my brother. I think that all of us keeping an eye out for this would be beneficial for us, especially if it's trying to hurt people. I mean, it probably snuffed out the fire. Whatever it is, it's malevolent. It appears to either want to drive us out or freeze us in our beds or whatever it is.
It's a good Russian monster. All Russian monsters should freeze us to death.
Just doing his job.
Well, I hope that we can find a way to not have it be as good at its job. I hope we're better at our job. Oh, and as he's talking, the cook comes back through and she's got cups and tea and she comes up to the water and, oh, thank goodness the water's warm, and starts just hitting everybody at tables with tea. And, Daniel says, thank you. And Samuel says, thank you. And you find cups of tea that don't smell like cups of tea from last night in front of you. And she says, and the cook says, like a broken record, we'll be getting food out soon. We'll be getting food out soon. Don't worry. We'll be getting food out soon, as she goes and touches base with everybody.
Excuse me. Would you mind if you give me some porridge?
When we get stuff ready, I'll definitely bring you out some porridge. It's probably going to be the first thing that we're going to be able to make for everybody because it's probably the fastest thing. And she's saying that kind of over her shoulder as she's going around, hitting up everybody. And then she yells, Emery, get some porridge, get some oats ready. We're making porridge, and yells at the kitchen as she's getting tea cups and moving the hot water off of from in front of the hearth to the various tables so people can pour their tea.
Now, this is a bit of a presumption, given that we haven't known each other for very long. I turn to the Campbell brothers. I presume from your demeanor, the things that you said, that when you see problems like this, you tend to approach them head on, often a little violently, probably quite a bit violently. I find that spirits, creatures, things that you call monsters, are more along the lines of wild animals. They act in accordance to their nature, and sometimes that nature puts them at odds with our kind, but if you approach this problem through violence and force, without solving the underlying issue, you're just inviting it back again later. So, you are asking us to keep our eye out for whatever might be causing our distress. I'm going to ask you to hesitate a little bit before you leap to using force as the first solution.
And
it's like a
and Daniel says, we will make sure that we look before we leap. We have been doing this for quite some time, and we understand the difference between as you say, spirits of the world and malevolent, vengeful, harmful, murderous spirits. Absolutely, we know that that difference exists. It's just that the
And-
evidence that we have, the idea of another spirit, maybe one that's somehow tangentially related, means we'll be careful. We understand that. But between the accident, this cold, the figure, it really feels like whichever spirit it is, one could be both, but one of them feels restless and potentially dangerous. But we're not
and
going
I,
to we're not going to, destroy an innocent if it can be helped.
I apologize. We recently had an encounter with, I'll say, unfinished business and past mistakes that someone who fancied themselves of a higher order and above the Vaesen and spirits left. So I'm a bit wary of people I haven't met.
It's
I
all right.
apologize for my distrust.
It's all right.
I think is what my friend here is trying to suggest is if you remove an animal from its ecosystem, you're going to damage the ecosystem. And if you brashly remove this spirit, you might invite something else in.
That's all the better than that there are 6 of us on the lookout.
And I do suspect that let us not antagonize each other and at least look into see what we see. And
You
figure out
speak
what.
sense, Edward. You speak sense.
We do think it is a house spirit that may have not been properly taken care of. Usually leaving out bowls of porridge, various ways of showing your appreciation to them. They will help take care of things. So
Well,
possible that whatever one was in the house is gone, or maybe it moved itself to the stable. There are some that do reside in the stables.
we'll see what we can see. And if this spirit needs a little oatmeal, then we'll get it a little oatmeal.
Yep.
And
Sounds good.
if things still continue to happen, jeopardize people's safety, if we see something that we know we've dealt with in the past, can we rely on you for help in taking a malevolent entity down?
If we are all in agreement that the entity is malevolent and needs to be put down, we will do our utmost to support you.
Excellent. This is fantastic. It's nice working with people who understand the greater world, and I trust that. I just personally, I hope that it's as simple as a bowl of porridge. Maybe we can make sense of it then, but you always have to be careful in these times. Samuel, shall we begin our morning routine? We're gonna go just take a look around and see if anything is different from the way it was yesterday. And they stand up. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say after they walk away, I want to do something, but
Fantastic. And
trying to be patient.
they kind of reach out their hands to shake everybody's hands, and I suspect Edward and Ernst, Trish, I don't know, Tatiana, if you're still shivering and chattering.
Edward does.
I tried speaking up a little bit earlier, but I couldn't. While this conversation was going on, Tatiana was kind of like to Edward that she wanted his pocket knife or something, and she's holding up like these sticks and these orange peels and just bits of plants that she has.
Mm-hmm.
Edward will take note of how the tea smells different today.
No, she hasn't done it. She's asking you. She's openly trying to get you to give her the knife so that she can make something. Yeah.
I think he put two and two together, though. But he does the same because it's like, oh, that tea certainly helped, and whatever you put in there.
Yeah. But
Certainly
while
was
they're having
great.
this conversation, she's taking these clove tree branches and sharpening them into kind of styluses. And then she has these dried orange and lemon peels. And as these two are starting to walk away, she's kind of starting to inscribe on these lemon peels, still shivering kind of intermittently and randomly interjecting into the conversation, but just clearly not entirely there.
Got it. Fantastic. Breakfast happens, and the
That
cook is
Trish
bringing food out. And while this is happening, go ahead, Trish.
Well, after they walk away, I'm going to nudge Ernst and say, I don't like the language he used. Greater world? They're part of our world.
Oh,
They're if anything, they're part of this world far more than we are.
I feel like they suffer from the same affliction that Herr Rasmussen did, but of a different kind.
I think so. I mean, spirits have been here a lot longer than we
They
were even
acknowledge
thought of.
they acknowledge the Vaesen, but I don't think they have the humility. And
Shame.
a
I would
question for our storyteller
Yes.
here. I know that a lot of household spirits and such, if they're not appeased, they will start causing mischief and ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that Nissa are of
Mhm.
a similar kind of temperament.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So far everything tracks.
Yeah. And I believe they're off base about what's happening here. I think that we simply have a Nissa that has become displeased. It's not been tended to. And I'm sure as soon as we get the proper offerings back on the table, as soon as we show it the respect that it's due, sure, everything's going to be right back on track. But
I think so too. I mean, it's just harmless pranks. It's not like they've hurt anybody yet.
just we'll have to keep an eye on those two while we keep an eye out for our displeased Nissa.
Yeah.
Oh, at this point, Tatiana is going to look up and she's like, so which one should I target? The soldier or the scholar?
I have a bad feeling about them. I feel like if you touch them, something horrible is going to happen to you. Just a sixth sense, call it.
And I think while they're talking about that, Edward was actually kind of by the fireplace with his porridge, and just kind of looking around, kind of where like is there like a place where like things are above the fireplace, like
A mantle.
There is
Mantle,
one
that's it.
mantle, and the mantle is dominated just by the portrait of Esther.
Okay.
Yep.
Does there look like any spot on the mantle that's like worn, like maybe someone put something there?
Yeah, like a dish.
I mean, that's okay. So you're looking for something really, really specific. So we're gonna have to go for a vigilance test on that. You're trying to find a minute like variation in the yeah, it just looks like the hearthstone in front of the fire and the mantle look like normal stone work. There's nothing particular like wear and tear. But at this point in the program, like bowls of porridge have been delivered.
Yeah.
Tatiana is do we have like small cups or anything like for the
Mhm.
tea?
Yeah.
Tatiana is going to down her tea and spoon some porridge into it. And then she's going to take a little bit of the orange peel that she ground up with, she wrote some runes on it, so some Swedish runes, and then sprinkle some of the shavings from the cloves, and then bring her cup over to where Edvard is and being like, where do you think the offering was?
I don't know. That's what I was looking for.
And
Um,
Tatiana,
oh,
like,
okay.
run her hand over the mantle and see if anything speaks to her.
I mean, you can too. Sure, that's a vigilance check. It just feels like, normal Hearthstone. It's warm there. The fire's going, so it's, you have to kind of go by it. You have to kind of do it fairly quickly because fire's kind of warm. But I
I'm
mean,
gonna
there is a substantial Hearthstone in front of this fire that's on the ground, and you know, like you're aware of how people leave things in front of a fire, especially like you toast bread on wrought iron toasters that you put the slices of bread in and you put up to the fire. So putting food just right there on the hearthstone in front of the fire is not an unusual thing.
Yeah. So Tatiana will be like, oh, here. And then she'll put it down by the fire as though it spoke to her, even though it didn't. She's just faking it.
And
I'm gonna
as you're, go ahead, Trish.
I'm gonna approach Tatiana and Edvard and say, if you guys are gonna leave offerings, you should let the master know because they're probably just gonna clean them up, and that would just insult the Tante, maybe make them a little angry.
Oh, so Tatiana's gonna be like, oh, don't worry. Voljok, and call her dog over. Watch. And
Also,
then just
I
point to whatever the bowl is that they're doing so that we can leave it there for a little bit.
also I think they usually like getting fed in the kitchen.
Yes, that might be a little trickier.
While you're having this conversation, the cook who's going around and serving stuff, she kind of swings by and she sees that you've left this little teacup of porridge on the hearthstone, and she sort of chuckles and she says, "Oh, that's something I haven't seen in a while. Oh,
Aw.
dear Esther would leave a whole bowl of porridge there, almost on a daily basis. Oh, she was such a dreamer and a really sensitive soul. Oh,
Mm.
she thought she was giving food to invisible friends. Hmm.
Hmm.
Was there anything
Well,
special about her porridge?
Well, she gave her friends more than what you're doing, I'll tell you that.
yeah, and that's kind of what like after like Edward had gotten the porridge and he had his bowl of porridge there. He wasn't actually eating any of it, so he actually kind of just pours what Tatiana put in there to give them an extra half portion or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, just to honor her memory then.
Oh,
And
That's
he
very
he
nice
leaves
of
them.
you. And she kind of moves off to work on the other guests.
before she goes,
Yeah.
I tell me, did she have any other superstitions or habits or affectations? I wish we had come while she was still among us.
Oh, that was quite some time ago. It was 2 springs past. They found her in the pond.
Oh no.
Which
Well,
is unfortunate.
actually, now that I think about it, they found her next to the pond, but she was wet as if she had fallen into the pond. But she was long gone before anybody found her. That was weird. Anyway, the doctor said that she had some kind of ailment that she died of.
Sounds like a Nixie.
She wasn't a strange person. She always had imaginary friends to talk to, even from the time she was a little girl.
I
But
was
she
that way
was-
in my youth.
She was a good person, and she was committed to the inn, and committed to making certain that this place was exactly the way that it needed to be. And we appreciated her hard work. Is there anything else you need? Or can I've still got...
No, please
Oh,
see to the other guests.
Good.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. And she trundles off.
I look down to the bowl after leaving it there for a little while.
Like
Er,
I'm sorry, what was that, Edward? I only caught half of that.
I look down at the bowl, like after like speaking with her for a while, but just like kind of like I'm not like I am looking but not looking at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
So far, as you're sitting there talking to her, and even a couple minutes later, nothing's happening to the bowl.
Okay.
Ernst, psst.
Yes.
This time I'm being very careful to be quiet
got
because
it.
I don't want any Snoopy neighbors, Snoopy brothers to overhear
To be fair,
me.
I rolled 2 successes, so
Oh well.
I didn't force
Sounds
it to
like-
happen.
Sounds like there might be a Nixie in the river.
Oh, the circumstances do sound suspicious. Going to rack my brain and try to eliminate other possibilities, but I believe that the pond is an area we should investigate as well. It appears it might be more complex than a neglected Tamsa.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
So I think we leave the porridge alone,
Mm-hmm.
but I will keep an eye on it as I'm slowly sipping my tea, seeing if anything comes out. And I'll specifically be around there and just kind of waiting, looking around,
Mhm.
occasionally looking into the kitchen when the door opens.
Sure.
Just through most of the day, I guess.
Oh, you're gonna sit there like over the course of the whole day?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's breakfast kind of wraps up, and as the cook and the two who are working with her start to wrap things, clean things up, and such, the door flies open from the outside, and the coachman Ilya rushes in, and he shouts, The horses are gone from the stable. They've run off into the snow. I need people to help me catch them."
God damn Tante.
Tatiana is going to jump up, like, "Oh, there's something to do," and then run over to Ilya. "How can I help?"
We've got to follow their tracks out into the snow. I don't know how far they've gone. We've got to find them and try to bring them back in. We're going to need them. We've got to pull my carriage back in here somehow, and we can't. There's another black carriage out here. I'm sure some of the horses belong to it.
Is it there?
I
Let's.
bet that carriage has an A-track player. in it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It would be black.
It is absolutely a black carriage. I mean, we've got to complete the image, right?
Yeah.
Lean into it.
Yeah.
Gotta sell the brand.
Yup.
Yeah.
God damn.
So
Tatiana's going to.
Ilya runs back out towards the stables.
We should probably get some porridge for the stables since they're upset there too.
Tatiana's going to run upstairs for her coat and also put on some makeup before running out into the snow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
Yeah,
who's going
Advert.
to work on catching horses? That's Tatiana and who else?
I think Advert's gonna try to do
Advert?
that as well.
Okay.
I'd like to go ahead and get a bowl of oatmeal and bring it to the stables.
Oh, okay, cool. Ernst?
And that sounds entirely too cold for Ernst. He is going to oh gosh, what is he going to do in the meantime to make himself useful? Is anybody else running out to assist with this horse situation?
So Tatiana might be going out and then realize everyone else is. And then be like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't all go out there."
I think a look outside through the windows in the open door, you can see that Ilya is headed back out. You can see coming out of the kitchen area, Axel is coming out and he's throwing on a jacket. He's heard the commotion. And I think it's safe to say, since they're out and about, you say to yourself, I wonder if Daniel and Samuel are out there as well.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
I think Ernst is going to see if he can make himself useful in the inn, knowing that the proprietor has gone rushing out to deal with the horse situation.
Very good.
Yeah, I will try and make myself useful where it's warmer.
Got it. So we'll start with the horses. There's no big sort of let's go out into a world and explore and stuff. It's quite simple to track them. There's plenty of snow. The horses are not stealthy. They've made tracks. It is easy to follow them. The question is, when you get to them, are you able to secure said horse? So everybody who's going out to bring a horse back in, roll an agility for me to see if you are able to get your horse to calm down enough, subdue the horse, and lead the horse back to the stables. So we've got a success with Tatiana. Oh, did I lose everybody's audio?
No.
No,
okay.
I just was thinking about what to say.
We're just
Got
quiet.
it. Edvard has pushed the roll and got a success.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, let's do this. I asked for
I
agility,
insist.
but guess what these guys don't have? So in reality, this is going to be, that's probably too many dice, but oh, Daniel's the fighter, so yeah, he's okay. Oh, that's no good. Well, in the spirit of pushing things. There's a success for Daniel. How about Sam?
Say what now?
They're out looking for horses too, but we won't make them push.
they're-
And then Ilya.
They're taking a bowl of oatmeal to the barn.
Trace,
Oh,
you're
we were
taking
talking
it
about
right.
Samuel.
Oh, Samuel, sorry.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Like what?
They plural there.
And there's 2 successes for Ilya, so he manages to find a couple as well. So that's what, a total of 4 successes amongst everybody. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4. So that's enough horses. Axel was out there too. Let's give Axel a shot. Since we're not out there for too terribly long, I'm not going to have force tests unless you plan on hanging out there for a long time. That's no success. 4 horses is pretty good. You're able to bring horses back into the stable. As you're bringing the horses back in, everybody else is bringing horses back into the stable, and Ilya is very, very thankful for the help. And he says, "Hi, we're gonna need these animals if we're gonna get out of here. I don't understand. I made sure that everything was locked up last night." now the damn doors open, the horses are out, blasted. Any
Yeah.
blasted storm is messing with everything.
Yeah, let's take a look at the doors, see if there's something wrong with it.
Sure, there's right off the bat, door looks fine. Stable door looks fine.
Did Samuel and Daniel come back with us?
Ultimately, they've brought the. Let's see here. Daniel got a success, so Daniel and Samuel are coming back with one horse. Yes,
Okay.
they're coming to the stable.
Yeah. Tatiana is going to go over to Samuel and kind of attach herself to his arm since he failed. Be like, what do you find so terribly badly? I'd love to see our books in more detail.
And he, how does he respond to this? Well, I mean, you've seen an image of him, and he is tall. When you put your arm around him, his arms
Around
are
his arm. Yeah.
right. Yeah, when you put your arm around his arm is it's like grabbing a piece of iron. He is strong. He is stronger than maybe you were expecting someone's arm to be. It does not give. You as you kind of pull on it, you kind of pull yourself in towards him rather than him making any like getting pulled towards you.
No ordinary scholar here. Okay.
Right. His eyes are blue, and are they kind? Is there a kindness inside the windows to his soul? And he has he doesn't have the books on him, but he looks at you and he smiles, and it's a lovely smile. This is I'm not gonna lie, this is a handsome man, right? So I don't mind bringing up his picture again, right? I mean, you know, there we go.
You gave, if you were going to give us any romanceable NPCs, it was these two. So,
and so you ask to see his books, and he says, I'd love to share with you my small collection. It's just a bit of what I have. A lot of what I have is back home, but what I have, I'd be happy to share with you.
please, I'm a writer and I take inspiration from the world around us.
Well, I hope that
Damn.
I hope
So
that there's enough.
smooth.
I hope that there's enough inspiration here to keep you writing for quite some time.
He hasn't tried to
This is
shut
happening.
her off his arm.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. The funny thing, of course, is this is happening as like a ton of snow is coming down, and Daniel's like, I think Daniel probably walks by and he says in English, "Okay, lover boy," and then like walks by.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she put on that makeup for somebody, so.
Absolutely.
I know, it's a shame my character's already spoken for.
The as the horses are in and put back in the stable and the stable doors closed, nothing on the outside suggests that there's anything wrong. Trish, you have brought some porridge out. There are plenty of like shelves, half shelves against the wall for you to find a place to leave some porridge out there if you so choose.
Are there any like is there a loft or anything?
I'm sure it has a half loft, if not a full on loft. It would be a safe place to store tack and food and stuff up off the ground so it doesn't, attract too many rodents or whatnot.
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and put it in the loft.
Sure.
And then I guess after I do that, I'll check to see to help out with the horses to see if they've gotten them, which they probably have.
At this point, it seems like one horse has taken off and is beyond your reach, and maybe it will come back. But you've got 4 horses back, which is enough to get our black carriage going, but also enough to be able to maybe, maybe potentially if the storm lets up, drag Ilya's carriage over, maybe right his carriage and try to drag it back with a couple more horses. I assume you're not going to hang out here in the snow for long, or do you have other things that you want to do in the very, very cold winter?
As with looking at the door, did the latches look fine? Is there like a lock on the ground?
Doesn't seem to be a lock. Doesn't seem like the stables were secured. The latches seem fine. Nothing appears broken.
Very odd.
Mm-mm. Yep.
And like the individual stables, they look fine.
Yeah. Yeah. They all seem to have been opened.
Maybe Ilya, but
Yep. Yeah, that's weird. And unless you have something that you want to do on the outside, I suspect that you'll want to get back in where it's warm.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Because,
I'll
I
do
mean,
like a
force
I'll do like
tests
a
if you want.
quick survey just around the perimeter.
Oh,
of
yeah,
it, just to
sure.
see if there's
Yeah.
anything weird,
Sure. Yeah.
specifically like in the
A
corners.
vigilance test, if you want to do a little bit of snooping around, is appropriate. Sure. Make it happen.
And
Nope,
oh, okay.
I couldn't find anything.
There's a lot of trampling around. People have been walking around here, the horses and such. If there was anything else out here, it appears to have been muddied a little by all the other activity. Go ahead, Trish.
Right.
I guess when I did drop off the porridge, I'll like announce like, sorry, no one's been around to feed you. We'll try to make it regular again. like a little announcing
Got it.
before I head out.
Fantastic.
Head back inside.
Mm-hmm. Cool. As people head back inside, and I think maybe this is where we'll go ahead and bring tonight's episode to a close. Maybe, just maybe, we're on the right path. As you walk back inside, the bowl, the porridge, is no longer on the hearth. It has been taken.
Maybe they cleaned it up. Who knows? Maid comes around.
Ernst saw to that, making sure that it did not get cleaned up.
Yeah.
Oh, Ernst, that's right. You were inside during all this. We don't want to bring it to an end just yet. Ernst, what were you doing? You were inside. What was going on?
Yeah, I, while staying inside, what is the name of the cook? What's her name?
You have not asked the cook's name yet. So when you go up to talk to her, I suspect the first thing that you may do is introduce yourself and
yeah, I'll actually formally introduce myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let her know that I see that Axel is tending to an emergency. I know my way around a kitchen. Please put me to work.
Oh, bless you, bless you. My name is Riina, and I am the cook here at the inn. These are my children, Imre and Kroot. And she points to Imre and she points to Kroot as they're kind of scurrying about doing their stuff. She says, my job here is to make all the food and try to keep everybody's bellies full, warm, and happy. And you're more than welcome to help out if you want. We're still trying to, we're trying to get everybody, fed. And it's a good thing there aren't too many people here, but we got, breakfast was a little so we got to try and do something better for lunch.
I understand. Have things like this been going on recently? The problems with the fire this morning, the horses running away. Is this normal?
I mean, I didn't. No, I don't know. I don't know. It has been quite cold, but I can't remember the last time the fire went out on its own when it was minded properly. Well, I don't know. I my my little Croot, and she points to her daughter. She you know yeah, I thought it was nothing at the time, and pot nearly fell on her head, and well,
Yeah.
I think a couple of weeks ago when Ilya was making his rounds out here, and he came in for a bite to eat before he left on his route again. Why, the chair broke. Completely good, functional, serviceable, not old or rotten at all chair. Just turned into kindling practically as he sat in it and he fell on his butt. And I think his ego was probably a little bit more bruised than anything, but it was strange. That chair shouldn't have. Just now that you mention it, it does seem like little things are happening here and there. I Oh no, that's just bad luck, right?
No, quite, quite. And perhaps it will make everyone feel better. I know a bit of folklore and charms and things. Perhaps if we do a few things to bolster everybody's spirits and do some counter charms against bad luck, I think it may help everyone feel a little bit better about it, if nothing else.
Oh, you're more than welcome to do that if you want. You sound like some of those folks who live off in the woods. Isn't that lovely? If you think it'll work, I don't see any harm in it. I mean, you just don't I just don't make a big deal out of it around her brother Axel. He's the one that's the most perturbed when he sees things like that. It'll get
Really?
in the way. It'll get in the way of a proper inn, don't you know?
Was this a point of contention between Axel and his sister? I know that you mentioned she left out little offerings for her friends.
Well, it wasn't the offerings for her friends that was the problem. It was Axel has Axel has a vision. He wants to make this inn not a place where people have to go, but a place where people want to go. He wants to bring cards here. Gambling. You know what I mean.
Oh, oh, I didn't know that
Paid
he.
paid gamblers to do card games here. That'll bring people in, he says.
Hmm.
Oh boy, this is going to complicate some things.
Yes, it shall. Uh,
Oh boy.
was this his plan? While Lester was still alive.
Oh, I believe so. Absolutely. I mean, when you say a point of contention, I think that they had discussions about it, but I don't. They cared for each other, loved each other very much. I believe that Axel was very thankful to have Esther here, and there were probably I don't know. There were probably opportunities for Esther to make a life of her own, but she chose to be here. She loved it here, and she loved the inn, and she loved the pond, and she loved the stable, and she just loved everything about being here. I think maybe she didn't want to see too much change happen, but I think
Hmm.
to satisfy Axel, I don't know, maybe she could have. Who knows?
Indeed, indeed. Here, and I'll take
This is all happening
whatever.
while she's preparing something for lunch, and handing you a carrot to try to chop as you're talking.
Yep, I will. I will take what I'm given and do the prep.
Mm-hmm.
And when the opportunity arises, I will head out and check out the bowl of porridge on the hearthstone there.
Fantastic. You walk out of the kitchen out into the main dining room, heading over to the hearth. You don't see, but you kind of feel it when you kick it, and it doesn't give, and you can feel yourself starting to fall. And as you look down as you fall, there's a long gray cat and this cat has moved in front of you. And as you fall, you swear it turns its head back and locks eyes with you. But before you can do much about the cat, we need you to make an agility test, please.
You are dead set
Okay.
on breaking this man's hip. God damn, poor Ernst can't catch
Yep.
a fucking break, man. Every day it's a new thing.
Every day it's a new thing. So you may choose a physical condition.
All right. I feel like battered is appropriate for
Battered.
this kind
God
of fall.
damn.
Fantastic.
Beaten and battered.
As you fall to the ground, you are slightly battered, and you look back, and that cat has, you think, ducked in through the kitchen as the door that you have left has closed. You no longer have eyes on the cat. And you look around. I think you probably grab a chair to help yourself get back up. You look out at the hearth, and that's when you discover that the hearth no longer has the bowl or the porridge as well. And probably at that time, people are starting to come back in from the search for the horses. And I think that's a great place for us to call it before I take any more opportunities to
murder
make
this
Ernst.
old man.
Poor
God damn.
guy.
I mean,
know.
if you go
We
too much
need to
further here, we're gonna have to put on the Benny Hill music every
Yeah.
time that some new thing befalls Ernst.
We need to get Ernst some kind of talisman to protect him from physical harm. Like, kind of good luck
That's a
charm.
fantastic idea. Excellent. Well, Ernst survives for another couple of weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our next chapter in Vaesen Seasons of Mysteries, A Winter's Tale. We will see you then, everybody. Bye.